Hey gang, John Backrella here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It is Thursday, April 17th. Water temperature at Belle Isle was up to 45 degrees this morning, and couldn't check it later today because there was no signal from it, so it wasn't responding. So I'm going to guess it was at least 45, if not a little bit warmer after the weather that we had today. Kind of sunny skies and warmer temps, so it's not going to bring her down. It's only going to help take her up. And looks like that's going to be what's going to happen in the foreseeable future. And the fish are definitely responding to that uptick in temperature. Water temp last week was around 42, and it had been just kind of waffling back and forth. But now we're like on a nice, steady, slow rise, and the fish really like to see that. Also getting reports of water temps in the 40s. Up around the Algonac area. So the St. Clair River is also, and you would expect everything's going to be warming up. But a lot of times it's not as close up in Algonac as it is down there by the Detroit River. So right now it's getting a nice straight shot through the lake, and water temperatures are fairly close. Let's see. Satellite image. Got a really nice one today. And this one is going to make a lot of guys happy because things are really finally starting to clean up. And it's not all that often that we get a good image on the same day that I'm doing the report. So, and this is a good image. You can see there's a lot of dirty water still over on Canada, or I should say on the Canadian side. But the American side right now is getting cleaner and cleaner, and some pretty clear water down in tight along the shoreline in some areas, which ought to make you smallmouth guys happier. And that water is all working its way down into the Detroit River. And I know last week it was kind of crazy down there. Like the only clean water was just out at the mouth of the Detroit River. And there was like 1,000 boats piled in on that clean water. And it made for some serious bumper boating for walleye jigging out there. But hopefully, and I know this week a lot of guys have been spreading out through the whole river system down there because the water has been cleaning up. There's still been some days this week where the water was really muddy and guys struggled, but there's also been patches of clear water that have moved through, so guys have still been able to pick up fish. Ultimate Walleye Derby, we are now in week 2, and the leader is still that 10.96 pound fish that was caught in week 1. There's been some other nice fish caught, but that's still the number 1 fish. And amazingly enough, most fish are still coming on cranks. So a lot of big fish coming on cranks still. Also, I put together part of our prize package. We are working with Ultimate Walleye Derby, and we are sponsors. And so part of our sponsorship was, should make you guys happy. It was 4 river jigger walleye rods, spinning rods, some whipping rods, and also we put together 4 jig packages. So 4 jig boxes. They got about 100 jigs in these boxes. They're all hand painted. Actually, I think I painted all of them for this go around. So all 3/4 and 1 ounce jigs, fish heads, and walleye jigs should make at least 4 lucky anglers very happy and get you set up with some really nice jigs. So not sure when they're planning on, putting those in as prizes, but those I know are part of the prize package for the event. Now, walleye still remain the top story right now. At this time of the year in this area, walleyes are the name of the game. The spawn is in full swing, okay? So you have got spawned out hens, you've got actively spawning males, and you've got actively spawning big hens, and you've got some pre-spawn fish as well mixed in there. But the number of pre-spawn fish is going to continue to go down, obviously, and these spawned out fish are going to continue to go up, and as they spawn out, they are going to move out of the system and start spreading out through the lake, and or dropping back down into Erie and spreading out, or moving up through the system and heading on their way up to the St. Clair River. But I also wanted to remind everybody, what seems to be happening every year is that run up on the St. Clair River. It used to be that you used to have to wait for the walleye run to be down on the Detroit River before anybody paid any attention to the St. Clair River. If you do that now, if you snooze, you're going to lose, because they are already doing really good up there by Algonac right now, and even further north up on the St. Clair River. And Tyler, Mackenzie, and Josh sent us these pics from fresh off the river and up near Algonac, and they got just the fish they're showing are just some nice males, okay? But look at that graph, look at that sonar shot from what was underneath their boat. They just hammered them. There was a ton of fish up there, and the males that they got were actively milting. So that spawn, even up there on the St. Clair River, is going right now. So it may last longer than the spawn on the Detroit River, and I know it started probably a little bit later, but it's not like this big 1 month lag that we used, or more, that we used to see. And that's primarily due, in my opinion, that we just have so many fish in the system right now. So you've just got so many more fish in the system. That spawn started earlier up there. Water temps like 42 degrees up there on the St. Clair River right now. So it is like perfect prime time for that spawn to get going, and it is. Dylan Grubb also was out with Waterloo Wings and Water, whacking and stacking some really nice eyes. Dylan always takes some really nice pictures, so it's always nice to incorporate them into our fishing report when we can. Captain Jason Quintano's been out there working hard too. Both him and Spencer Berman talking about working sometimes in the mud for those great big hens that are either actively spawning or maybe even pre-spawn, getting ready to spawn, and then switching it up back and forth between that and then going out and getting numbers for their clients, maybe out in some of that cleaner water with some of those smaller males. But so that is still one of the techniques that guys are using is moving back and forth between fishing in the mud and fishing out in some of that cleaner, deeper water. And it seems to be paying big dividends for a lot of the guys. One of the other things that you can pay attention to when you're fishing in that dirty water is like Lucas using like the old style Wyandotte type worm. The black with that chartreuse firetail has been hot this year, especially fishing in that real dirty water. And a lot of guys are going to say, oh, black and dirty water. Yep, use those dark colors in that dirty water, and you will see your catch rates go up. Some of those finesse minnows in those darker colors, the same deal. That black and blue with the chartreuse tail. Your blacks with gold flakes. Gold is another a good choice when you're fishing that dirty water. It gives you a little better reflectivity than like any plastic that's going to have like silver or something in it when you're in that dirty brown water. Use those gold tones in there, dark purples, June bugs, colors like that in that dirty water, and you're going to get bit more frequently. Just what I've learned over the years, and I've heard a lot of other guys say the same thing. So still not much right now to report on the perch, and it's kind of weird. Had a lot of guys come into the shop today that were going out and targeting perch. Had one customer that was going all the way over to Mitchell's Bay, and then we had a couple of other guys that were targeting them here around the shop, but didn't get any feedback today. So I have heard they've been getting some really good fish over there on the Canadian side out in front of Mitchell's, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. But we should still have fish over here on the American side too that are still in tight, and I'm sure they're well into the spawn right now. And hopefully this weekend with nicer conditions, maybe you guys will be able to get into them out there and score. I know guys have still been getting them down there along the Detroit River. I've seen them coming in some of those mixed bags down there on the river, but we haven't seen much going on up here on the lake in quite a while since, it's probably been about 3 weeks since we saw much happen with the perch. Same goes for over there on Harson's Island with the panfish. Haven't got any fresh reports, but I'm sure that panfish bite is still going, and with the nicer weather coming in, I'm sure you guys are going to get over there maybe this weekend and give it a shot, and maybe we'll start to get some reports again on that. Now, one thing I have started to get reports on is the smallie bite. And with these water temperatures now pushing the mid-40s, you can assume that when that sun comes out and the wind is in the right direction, the shoreline temperatures are going to go up higher. So usually for me, that magic number is around 49 degrees for that shoreline bite to get going. And I'm sure that is happening based on some of the reports that we're getting. Some of the guys that are casting from shore are starting to pick up some big smallies, and I'm starting to see it show up in the social media with guys that are going out there in the boats. So I would think, if we look ahead to next week and we look at this weather forecast for next week, we got decent weather coming in this weekend. We got some warmer temps. The wind is kind of variable, but the big news is consistently warmer temps going into next week. By the time we get into midweek next week, we're going to be in the upper 60s if the forecast holds true. The lows are not going to be really low, and we should have some sunshine as well. And that ought to really get that smallie bite going. So I'm expecting going into the end of next week to have the smallie bite pick up exponentially out there. So all of your shoreline locations, all your points, your humps that are in close, relatively close to shore, that 9 mile area, even some of those rock humps and things down along in the Grosse Pointe area ought to really pick up. And those are usually the first places that go. And I mean points like at the Metro Park out there, that point going out, those smallies tend to, what it is a lot of these fish will stage out on these like primary drops out there, anywhere from 9 to 12 feet of water, depending on where you are along the lakeshore. They'll be staging out there, and then as things warm up, they start to make moves and they go in shallow, and they're feeding. They're actively feeding. They're getting ready for the spawn. We're a little ways yet from the spawn, but they'll tend to go in and move out as water temperatures change. So you'll get pushes of fish that come in and then fish that move out. So a lot of these areas that are adjacent to that deeper water are going to see the most activity. So that's why when I talk about points, and it can be different points along the shoreline too, down along in the nautical mile area, the marinas down there. You've got Ford's Cove that juts out there by down near 9 Mile. You've got those isolated humps out there, and there's some basically like reefs out there, so to speak. Some other features out there that tend to hold fish. Same thing with some isolated rock piles and things down along the Mile Roads area and the Metro Point, South River Road. And then other areas, usually like Selfridge, that tend to collect that warm water, like by that in and around that Selfridge launch area is another area that'll get hot pretty quick sometimes. I mean, get hot. It'll warm up quick, and it'll get the activity levels on these fish goes up pretty good in those areas as well. Update on that Clinton River cutoff boat launch. I was down there today, and I was really kind of surprised how many boats had launched out of there. Looked like they were all bass boats, so all boats that are not drafting a great deal of water. There was a boat driving out when I was there. I could tell he had everything trimmed up pretty high, but he did make it out of there. So it's not that I would suggest going out there, and I definitely would not advise going out if we have a strong offshore wind at this point until they get in there and dredge. When we get a strong offshore wind, we tend to lose sometimes over a foot of water, and with the water as low as it is right now, you could go out in the morning when the wind is light and then get a strong offshore wind and maybe not be able to make it back in to get out with your trailer. So just keep that in mind if you're going to use that boat launch. I will keep you updated on when that dredging occurs. It is going to happen. They're just waiting to get the actual equipment in there now at this point. And once they get in there, they figure it's going to be like 2 days, 3 days tops before they're back out of there. One of those species that not everybody likes to target or even likes to necessarily catch is channel cats, and I'm starting to get a report on those already that the activity level on those bruisers has gone up, and guys are catching channel cats from shore right now. So if you're a cat fisherman, you may want to go check those shore spots out right now and cash in on some early catfish fishing. The other thing, I mentioned this in the last report too, those largemouths, if we do happen to get a blow day mixed in and you're in here in town, from far away and you're not familiar with the lake and everything, like the Metro Park area, Most of the marinas, all the different canals up and down the shoreline on the lake have got plenty of hungry largemouths that really don't get much attention other than this time of the year before the boats all come in. And so they're generally very happy to cooperate, and especially on those blow days when you don't want to get out there on the lake and get too beat up. A reminder, we are closed on Sunday. This is Easter Sunday. So if you are planning on ditching the family and going to divorce court, or maybe you're single and maybe you're already divorced from doing that from a couple of years ago. But you can come in and see us on Saturday, get stocked up, get your bait so that you can go out there on Sundays and take care of those wallies and smallies and whatever else is out there. But I will be with the family on Sunday, so I will not see you at the shop. So get out and enjoy the warmer temps that we got coming and take advantage of all the great fishing we have out here on Lake St. Clair. Hey gang, if you like our content, hit the little subscribe button and the bell icon and you'll be notified as soon as we put out new stuff.